second match done. Let's go into match number 3. We've said enough, I think, about Firebat and Strife Growth.
Yeah.
Fantastic players and competitors.
We got another big one coming up, though, Dan. Another big one.
This is our featured match of the day because we have one player whose future's already been determined for Grandmasters, but one more to join them. Over in spot number 7 and 8, you see Rase and Zalae, both at 4 and 9 apiece.
Yeah, and that means only one of them can make 5 wins, which means somebody at the end of this matchup is going to have sole possession of last place with no more matches to play, which means the loser of this match is going to be relegated from Grandmasters. In a way, it does feel a little bit better to know that it is a head-to-head for that last spot. It always feels kind of weird when a relegation, at least at the very end, even though you had many matches to get to that point, if you're indirectly relying on someone else to beat someone for you to avoid relegation, like what we saw in Europe. But now it's just head-to-head, one best of 3 to see who's going to be playing in Grandmasters next year and who is not.
Yep, another safe start from both players. I mean, this just goes to show you how much it means to them that they need to be able to get this win in the Priest Mirror.
Yeah.
We've seen some back and forth games. We've also seen some major swing games, and Zalae with an opening hand that I think is really good.
Yeah, you guys will see it in just a moment. Our spectator client is a little bit ahead. You won't see it until Rase fully mulligans, but you could see the look on his face, and I was wondering, I was like, that look on Zalae's face, he either got the worst opening hand you could imagine, or he got the best opening hand you can imagine. And I'm going to err on the side of best. Rase kind of struggling to see what he wants. One draw plus Interfire is a great opening hand. Usually if you can get that edge, you're happy. But there you can see it. Zalae, 1-drop, Power Word Shield, Interfire, and another 1-drop. That's the juice.
Yeah. Zalae was spectating me right before I came up for the transition from Europe to Americas, and was yelling at me to get his free pack because he had to watch a friend win a game, and so the pressure was on. And Zalae was just kind of like, you know, looking at my plays, and I was like, hey, Zalae, I might have to leave in the middle of this game because I might have to go up and cast. And he's like, how could you value your job over my pack? And my takeaway from that was Zalae seems to at least keep things loose. You know, even if things are really dramatic and serious, at least he's keeping himself upbeat. You know, joking around, having fun. And I think that's what people love about him. But yet, at the same time, when it comes down to it, he's ready to take care of business.
Hey, I got you, friend.
And Rase has got to be feeling confident with what he has in hand, but he's probably thinking to himself, well, I need to dodge one thing.
Which is Beaming Sidekick or Power Word Shield into an Interfire.
Yeah. Right now, he currently does not have a follow-up if that were the play for Zalae. While Pyromancer might be able to help him out a little bit, but he's going to need some help otherwise. And Zalae going to think, you know, what's the best play? But with the Beaming Sidekick, he just needs to kind of go in. Yep.
Rase. Upset to say the least.
And you can see that Rase is a little bit less animated than normal. Yes, he kind of winced at that Interfire, but he seems hyper-focused, and you know, I'm sure he told himself before this match, you know, don't let emotions kick in. Just kind of play to the best of your ability, ignore everything one game at a time. And you can tell that maybe slightly less kind of exaggerated emotions, at least is, from what I can see, worst case scenario on turn 2 happening for him. But now it's thinking time. What's the play? He kind of has to just fight back on board, and I think you just have to play the Wild Pyromancer. And
yeah. His hand is actually not nearly as bad as it might look because he has Injured Blade Master to Psycho Pump. That gives him a 1 out of 4 chance to revive the Northshire Cleric, sorry, the White Warden, the Beamy Sidekick, and the Wild Pyromancer. Honestly, even a Wild Pyromancer revive isn't that bad because it's still a 3-2, which tends to challenge most minions. Zalae introduced with a couple of options here. I think the most important thing in his mind is trying to get value off the Northshire Cleric while he can, so the Light Warden seems like a fairly obvious play at first glance.
Yep, draw a card, keep the Northshire Cleric alive. Oof.
Yep, it's not looking good right now for Rase. So injured Blade Master gets challenged a couple of ways. The Light Warden can easily trade in, and the Northshire Cleric can even heal and attack into it. So if Rase chooses to play the injured Blade Master, something that he might explore is actually trading the 1/2 into the Northshire Cleric, so that way at most it can have 4 health. That's where Zalae's Neverset Ritualist is a punish. Another alternative that he can actually go is try to reduce the attack of the Northshire Cleric preemptively, and then play injured Tolvir, or even use Interfire to trade into the Light Warden and then play injured Tolvir, set up for a Psychopomp.
Yeah, the problem with the injured Tolvir is that it just gets traded into on the board from the Northshire Cleric, just a value trade. And then the Psychopomp would res a 2/6, and it still wouldn't contest the Northshire Cleric, because at that point, Zalae would have likely healed it. But
injured Blade Master.
I mean, it is like the best chance for a comeback, I think, which is the Interfire plus injured Tolvir. If you don't answer the Light Warden now, there's a chance that you may never.
We've seen Light Wardens just solo players in this matchup.
Yeah.
So this Neverset Ritualist can be accompanied by a Wild Pyromancer. Draws you a card, sets up maximum stats on the board. It's looking very good for Zalae.
Life is an afterthought.
Interesting. Good sequencing by Zalae to not just automatically throw out the Wild Pyromancer, assuming he wants to play it in case he picked up something else.
Do you like to play?
If he picked up the injured Tolvir, that's probably a consideration.
Yeah, but just maximum stats. There's a couple of bad ones here from this Psychopomp.
Is it Psychopomp time though? There's a Wild Pyromancer on the board.
Yeah, but injured Blade Master, you heal it, you give Zalae a card.
Oh, he gets the injured Tolvir. Is it gonna matter though? Is he just too far behind? Potentially.
No spells in the hand currently for Zalae, which means getting through this injured Tolvir plus the Reborn is kind of awkward. He has to make multiple trades. Can start off with a card draw if he wants to.
I've got more left in me.
In the light's name.
Just gonna kind of create tension on the board.
He does make himself a little bit weaker to Wild Pyromancer stuff, but Rase did just play a Rase has played Wild Pyromancer. In addition, Rase has only 2 cards in hand, so he would have that exactly spells with Pyromancer number 2.
Yeah.
Seems unlikely.
He does run the 2 Wild Pyromancer, so it is something that has to, be on Zalae's mind. But at this point, he's just so far ahead on the board. Even if Rase were to remove, Zalae has reload, which is the important thing for him. With this Northshire Cleric that came down on turn 1, still being alive, still hitting, still drawing cards, Rase is in a situation where he can't even play these injured Blade Masters and heal them without drawing cards.
Right. Debate whether or not he should preemptively trade, but rather not give him that value. Zalae is pretty close to finding a way to seal this game for good. A Circle of Healing should do it. Preemptive heal.
I must consider.
He's got 12 damage on the board right now, 14 with a heal, and if he's able to maximize his inner fire, that'd be another 6, so 20 damage by my count.
Not quite there, but if he
Divine Spirit perhaps?
his board, it's probably just going to be some trades, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to leave Rase with minions on the board. I think that is a way to give Rase comeback potential. Especially, again, because your board is relatively weak on the health across it, right? It has like 2 health, 2 health, 3 health, 1 health. You don't want to give him like this weird miracle Pyromancer out and then you lose everything. Pyromancer in the hand. But it's just too late. There's lethal on the board.
Yep. Looks like game one, going to go over to Zalae.
That's it. 1-0 in favor of Zalae, trying to just barely stay alive in this league, while Rase could be at his final moments here. The Priest Mirror, again, is something that we've seen a lot, but one thing that I'm actually somewhat surprised is whether or not either player had an option against it, right? Because we see that they both teched accordingly to try to protect Priest, I believe, but I have to actually go back and verify with it because they have Reno Mage and Highlander Warrior. Those are two decks that they wanted to actually queue up against Priest. But because of like the fact that they both protected Priest, their best anti-Priest decks were banned.
Yeah,
We've seen some players like protect their best anti-Priest deck, and I feel like that's almost for them just being super duper safe.
Yeah, it's super duper safe because if you look at the other two matchups across the board, if both Highlander decks are banned away, it's Druid Shaman, which are both great Priest matchups. So the situation that Firebet had outlined where you play a Priest Mirror game one, Priest has a massive favorable game two, and then you play a Druid Mirror or a Shaman Mirror in game three, and that's safe in the sense that you're trusting your own skill and your own ability to win a mirror matchup, essentially.
Right. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have the conclusion of Zalae versus Rase, where only one player will stay in Grandmasters.
Good enough. Don't have to do it my way, just find a way that works. ETC does recover from that one ropey turn in it.
Wait, he needs to play the weapons project. He's just dead. If he didn't play the weapons project, the Hunter Ace can just go Fireball, Zephyrus, Fireball. Viper got the Blast Shield. Viper realizes that he just made a huge error here. Bomb!
Bomb! Second bomb! Oh no, all the things are green. Third bomb! Third bomb!
That was like low-key, super good.
Everything worked out about as perfectly as possible.
What is Tice doing there? He drew a smiley face on an orange.
I see lethal, guys. I see a freaking lethal. Yeah. Yes. Turn 5. That turn 5. This game will be a fiesta. No! Can we mill him now? Can I mill the Shadowwalk? Faster! Get ready. Senjin, I will play that in my decks. Oh, my tea! Oh, I forgot about my tea! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, my tea!
My name is Paul Nemeth, aka Zalae, and you can find me on Twitter at ZalaeHS, and more importantly, my stream, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. Tune in, twitch.tv/ZalaeHS. A day in my life, I wake up when I feel like it, then I go to the gym when I feel like it, after that I stream when I feel like it, and then after that, I try and do something productive, and it doesn't always work. My personal goals for this year, I prefer to make short-term goals. So I try to live each day as best I can and make good decisions in the moment. And I don't focus too much on long-term goals because that can be complicated. And I think it's good to keep things simple and focus on what's important in the here and now. You know, it would be pretty cool if I could be first place in the Grandmasters system, but to be completely honest, I don't expect that. Just saying's a little bigger than me. Yeah, second place. That seems like a realistic goal. I could probably finish second place in the Grandmasters program. And I feel like second place it's a nice, comfortable spot for me. I'm into second place.
Zalae is going to turn to the Druid. Rase is going to stay on Priest. And this is going to be potentially the last game, although Priest is heavily favored versus Druid from our perspective. Therefore, we might see a game 3. And when you look at the lineups, you might see immediately at first glance, wow, same 3 classes across. But I was kind of looking forward to that Highlander Warrior, especially after that fact of the day.
Yeah.
Just kind of dropping the deck spotlight and how Reno Warrior is like this really cool deck from Rase. But, you know, the Reno Mage, the Highlander Warrior, they're great against the Priest, but you got to protect the Priest in a lot of cases if you want to be safe. Otherwise, it's a risk that you take, and that's just kind of how it goes. The Druid deck from Zalae, is there anything that he can use outside the norm in order to try and beat the Priest?
Pounce.
There is the Pounce.
Yep.
Pounce early game is surprisingly very useful. You look at like Light Warden, for example. That thing won't stick.
Yeah, very cheap way to deal with something immediately on the board. You can even use it with the hero power to kill a Northshire cleric, though that would cost you usually progress towards the quest. But this matchup isn't always about that. Sometimes it's just about using every resource at your disposal, not worrying about mana or how many resources you're using, just to take the priest off the board. And I think the Pounce is a good inclusion. Other than that, though, really not much. He's got double innervate, which can help him get some power plays out earlier. No mind control tech, nothing fancy outside of that. Pounce and a couple of Rase and a War Druid Lodi to help him get through this early game.
Yeah, so the Pounce will help deal with the first minion. But, you know, Wild Pyromancer are chipping for 2. Or, sorry, for 3. Honestly, Wild Pyromancer's stats aren't the most important thing about its effect. So if it was a 2-2, I'd still think it'd see comparable win rates, although I'm sure there's going to be like small corner cases where you wish you had the 3 attack to trade into things.
In the light's name.
Either way, Wild Pyromancer as a follow-up is still very nice here.
Well, if Zalae makes it to turn 6, he's in a good spot.
Very tough. Rase is trying to stay focused, but Zalae's tech cards. I mean, that's why you put Pounce in the deck. So you can dump your hand as well when you're nourishing. It's a very nice inclusion from Zalae. Rase telling himself, stay the course. Focus on what you really need to do. Pyromancer here on 2. Your opponent just used a Pounce. Unlikely that he can answer it. This Pyromancer can get a lot of damage in. That being said, he does have Psychopomp in the hand. Psychopomp reviving the 3-2 is not exactly what he's looking for a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, a lot of times when you're playing the Druid, like, you just feel so scared when you're just like forced to pass multiple times in a row. Especially, you know, when you have like a high impact game, like you're playing for a top legend spot, or maybe you're just trying to get to legend, or maybe you're rank 6 getting to rank 5, so on and so forth. You're always like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, just like not doing anything. Can't imagine what's like in Zalae's spot where he's so close, staying in this league and keeping the Grandmaster dream alive, but he's forced to not do anything.
That's why you play Druid, to not do anything until turn 5.
It's scary.
That's where the power comes in. Rase had to make a pretty tough decision here. Loading up 2 Wild Pyromancers on the board really limits the amount of things you can do. Because if you play a single spell without buffing the health of one of these Pyromancers, both will die.
Yes.
So Rase, by committing the second Pyromancer, says, My plan is tempo.
And choosing not to attack. Doesn't want to give Light Warden any buffs. Psycho Pump now can put out that Light Warden and just put more stats onto the board.
Running low on time, though. Zalae, 21 is a decent amount of damage, but then he'll be rolling into Ferocious Howl, into Oasis Surgers, into Nourishes. Rase is on a definite clock here to get a pretty big board rolling. By turn 4, you expect to be threatening combos a lot of times in this matchup, right?
True.
You expect to have that big Tolvir on board that you've been able to heal because it wasn't removed because the Druid's been passing. But instead, he has this kind of wide board full of misfit priest minions.
Just attacking with, just playing Zoo.
Yeah.
Zoo Priest. Just minions on curve, more minions, stats, make things inconvenient for the Druid. And honestly, if I'm Rase, the one thing I'm fearing more than anything is the curve into Starfall.
Yes.
Starfall feels like it'd be super crushing. However, with 2 Reborn minions, Reborn doesn't work the way you think it does with Starfall or even Death Rattle. It activates both simultaneously. You don't get to kill the Reborn minion. So having 2 Reborn minions, especially 2 Light Wardens, I mean, that might be a weird blessing in disguise against Starfall.
I mean, I was thinking for Rase, if he doesn't play second Wild Pyromancer, rolls into Psychopomp Light Warden, and then draws a spell and can utilize Circle of Healing, he could use that for lethal damage. Right now, that would kill his Light Warden. It would kill both of his Wild Pyromancers, so Circle of Healing would have no effect. That's why the committal of the second Wild Pyromancer is such a big deal, because plays like that are all of a sudden closed off.
Wow. Zalae attacking the 3-1. No Ferocious Howl to dig deeper. Does not want to take too much here. I think he's anticipating that he's going to play Oasis Surger, so if he's going to remove other threats, he needs to remove that 3-1, otherwise it's going to hit him multiple times in a row. Another Circle of Healing.
Dan.
This Psychopomp also getting killed also means that there's a 3-1 in the pool for Resurrections.
Yes.
The double circle with Light Wardens.
Must consider.
I mean, Rase having another Light Warden and a Psychopomp, if he puts 3 Light Wardens on,
The quest is complete.
it's Starfall do or die time.
It's Starfall do or die time. But at this point, do you have a choice other than all in?
It's not truly an all-in, because if you pick up Northshire Cleric, you still have Circle of Healing. Oh, he gets the Light Warden. That's big. That's big, too, because Zalae has Oasis Surgers, which are going to be damaged. Another Light Warden. In the Light's name, indeed. Zalae down to 12 health.
So I'm trying to think what the optimal play here is for Zalae.
I feel like keeping 2 Pyromancers is better than keeping 1.
But if you keep 2 Pyromancers, you
gotta kill Light Wardens too, because Light Wardens, when if Rase heals Zalae, it's actually +6 to his Light Wardens.
Yes, but at the same time, Rase could also trade in one of his Wild Pyromancers and then be down to 1. This is
Right. So what if instead of Oasis Surger, it's like a Ferocious Howl Wrath?
Ferocious Howl Wrath on 2.
Is that too much? Is that too greedy? Ferocious Howl gains 6 life right now, so he'd be at 18, and then Wrath can take out basically 3 life.
So then Rase would have 9 base power on board. Circle of Healing would heal 5 minions with 3 Light Wardens.
He's out of time. He has to make a decision soon.
That would be 10 attack each Light Warden. Rase has like 40 damage.
That game.
4, 5, 6. He can heal.
Yes, it's very much lethal. You heal the 5/2. You circle of healing.
Each Light Warden has 5 attack. It's 18 damage. If I
Yep.
count. Oh no, wait, it's +6 for each one.
Yes.
So each Light Warden has 7 attack. It's 24 damage. Oh my goodness.
It's what I was saying. Like, it feels like it's better to keep the 2 Pyromancers than it is to actually kill them.
Well, but then if you, no matter what, you're leaving damaged minions on the board.
My thought was to Oasis Surger, trade into the 1/2 that wasn't reborn, and the 3/1. But then it's like
he trades him while a Pyromancer
he's dead on board
yeah.
because you just heal the Oasis Surger.
Yes.
So I was thinking instead of that, maybe you Ferocious Howl into Wrath, try to get 2 cards into Starfall, and then hope that Starfall bails you out in that situation.
Yeah.
But even then, like we said, Starfall doesn't guarantee anything because it leaves 2 reborn Light Wars that are damaged.
Yeah.
So then they can like heal and Circle of Healing and do all of this stuff. So in a way, because of that very weird pan out for Rase, it was like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, like Zalae had an answer to a slower non-zoo start, right?
Right.
His follow-up to the Oasis Surger, if he survives that turn, is good. He's got
like
card draw ramp for days. He's got removal, health gain. You know, if he lives past that turn,
he was better
it's a much
positioned
different game.
against a Light Warden, injured Tolvir, injured Blade Master start than he was against a double Psychopot with 2 Light Wardens and a Circle of Healing.
Yeah, it was just very
weird.
awkward at the end.
Also, it goes to show you the small importances that have big impact of things like curving out with Wild Pyromancer, even if right in that situation, Wild Pyromancer didn't have its practical use, right? It just was a functional 3/2, and it just kept hitting 3/2, 3/2, 3/2 for damage. Zalae and Rase are now down to a best of 1 for a spot in Grandmasters. Priests have got the win. Is it the Shamans? Is it the Druids?
Yeah. Also, Dan, one thing that I just realized in that last match, Zalae with the Oasis Surger play left himself dead on board. Did he not? Was he at 12 health?
He was at 12.
He takes off 2 minions. There's 3 Light Warrants on board. A heal onto the one of the Oasis Surgers, just the hero power, is 12 damage.
You're probably right, yeah.
Because there's 3 Light Wardens and 3 attack minions. He takes out 2 3 attack minions. He just heals an Oasis Surger and then is at 12. So
just really tough spot here for the Druid, but we're gonna go to a Druid for Shaman. Interesting. Rase favoring Shaman. A lot of the stats imply that Druid is favored versus the Shaman. But I mean, that's not accounting for tech cards. That's not accounting for some of the play skill that's involved in both the decks. I personally think that the Shaman is the one that tends to get the better end of the deal most of the time. Well, not even most of the time, just a slight majority of the time. But there's a lot of Druid players that just feel really good about their chances in the matchup.
yeah, I think that lately the Shaman is starting to become more of a favorite, especially in Europe. There's a lot of players in Europe that think that Shaman is an overwhelming favorite, especially with a Stormbringer tech that we've been seeing from players. Rase does have double former champ in his list, which does help the matchup a lot. He does have a mind control tech, which can help the matchup a lot. Plague of Murlocs is probably not a card that you're looking at, since the Druid is
against the Feoris.
It's decent against the Feoris, but you often don't want this card that's sitting in the far left of your hand, not doing anything until you're behind in a game, right?
Right.
I feel like this is a matchup where you especially with the double former champ list, you want to try and be playing it proactive and force the Druid to be reactive. But I guess same goes for Mind Control Tech if that's the case. But Mind Control Tech can sometimes come down earlier in the game, maybe steal an Oasis Surgery, you can use it for the counter tempo. But let's get into it. Wrath and Pounce. Zalae has the answer to the Evil Totem.
I gotta say, Zalae mulliganed his Worthy Expedition. That's a card that you universally play on turn 2.
Yeah.
When you have the quest. And he mulliganed it for Pounce, which he got, or Crystal Merchant, or Innervate. I think those are like the only cards you could ever justify throwing that Worthy Expedition away for. Because you already have Wrath. And he gets it. So he can answer an Evil Totem. But ironically enough, there is no Evil Totem. So him making a bold call with that Pounce pickup is not necessarily paying off right now.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Big pickup here for Rase 2. Questing Explorer. Very good to establish that early game tempo. And one thing that we're going to talk about is going to come into play here is that early chip damage from Shaman, because you do have that window of pressuring Druid too much. Surprisingly enough, one of the best lackeys that I've found against Druid is Titanic Lackey, because it stops them from getting Starfall and swipes that are really good. It forces Oasis Surger to attack into certain targets, and you get to keep pressuring.
Yeah, same with Witchy Lackey. Witchy Lackey and Mutate are often used relatively early in this matchup just because you want to try and get value out of your minions. You know, evolving a 1/1 Evil Cable Rat into a 3/3 and pushing 9 damage with that is oftentimes better than on turn 5 or 6 mutating a former champ that's going to get swept up in AoE Oasis Surger anyway. Kobold Lackey, yes, it's universally considered one of the better lackeys, but in this matchup where you don't have too much damage permanence because of Ferocious Howl and Hidden Oasis,
What to do?
and oftentimes the board, especially early on in the game, doesn't build up too much for Druid. Not the best one. He was hoping for Witchy Lackey here to just try and get a little bit more board presence.
Yeah, Faceless Lackey. It's very weird, right? Like where you just generally want to have Kobold Lackey as like universally the best one. But as you're developing the game plan, it's not really that conducive. And Rase is just thinking about how he uses the rest of his mana, or if he does, he passes. Zalae's probably really relieved to see that. You know, Faceless Lackey could potentially have big implications.
It can be a relief, but it can also be kind of scary when the Shaman doesn't use their mana like that, because it's more likely they have massive plays. Like, let's say Rase next turn goes coin former champion to mutate. All of a sudden you have a 5/5 and on average a 5/6. Without the quest complete, you're looking at an awkward situation. So we'll see what Rase decides to do with this mana next turn, because he's still not finding too powerful plays.
Ooh, former champ is nice. Very nice. 5/5 is hard to deal with. Before they finish the quest, you get that 5 damage in.
Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee.
Nourish is a big pickup for Zalae.
So he's got Wrath after Nourish next turn, or Oasis Surgers. Either way, he's staring at a 5/5 that he's debating whether or not he wants to take down right now. That 5/5 is going to get hit. Is going to be hitting a lot. The nice thing about the 5/5 too is that if you take it down, next turn Nourish feels a lot better, because if you don't play anything this turn, let's say you Hero Power, you're taking 5, then you Nourish, you take another 5. Are you willing to take that 10 to draw 3 cards and ramp?
But then, what's the way you deal with it? Oasis Surger is such a good card post-quest. You can transform that into a 5/5 and just trade into it, or the double Wrath, but Wrath is also great for picking off targets.
I think Wrath is great at picking up targets, but...
Okay, he's setting up for Nourish Wrath next turn because he's going to have the quest complete.
I like that. This is very smart, actually, because Wrath will deal 4 damage after the quest.
Yep. Just a matter of
out here for Zalae.
How much Rase can punish in the meantime.
Right. This is Race's chance.
Is that a
Or
Sandstorm
last
Elemental
chance, rather,
pickup?
to pressure.
This is...
So it does look bad, but if he plays Kobold Lackey and Life Drinker, next turn he will be able to finish the quest. I'm not sure if I like that, actually. Because the idea is that you can play Sandstorm Elemental, Hero Power, and then Sandstorm Elemental again. Deal 3 damage AoE.
Nothing seems super appealing.
I wonder if Rase was supposed to
Little time.
play Kobold Lackey a while ago. I don't think so, given that he has Weaponized Wasp in hand. But he's playing like reactive with his cards, right? Like he wants Kobold Lackey to be like either a press in for the victory or a kill minions onto the board. And by doing that, This Cobalt Lackey, well, one, his quest would be closer to finishing and also could pushing damage. But it makes his plays inefficient, and him floating 1 mana here, 1 mana there, that's a big deal. Like, it might seem like, oh, just like a small thing, but floating mana is not what you want to do in a game like Hearthstone, especially when you have such a limited window to pressure the Druid. Because now, this board isn't strong enough, and this is where the point where I feel like Druid is favored in the matchup.
Yeah. Ooh.
Big pickup here for Zalae.
I mean, that is an insane turn from Zalae. Nourish gets to remove, draw a card right into the Anubisat Defender.
Okay, this is also potentially big as well.
Rase still looking for, you know, a power turn. He's looking for Sludge Slurper or Evil Cable Rat post-quest completion to try and really get a bunch of resources. You can turn this matchup on its head, even if you need to play like that control-oriented game plan by like searching for big AoEs with Ethereal Lackeys and kind of trying to grind the Druid out of resources. It's very difficult because they have a ton, especially that game with Elise, and all that's kind of unlocked by having pressure of your own in the early game, which Rase hasn't really had. Yeah, he had former champ, but he got to push 5, and that was it.
Rase can kill off this 3/5 in a multitude of ways. You can use Weaponized Wasp, Cobalt Lackey. I think that's like the best course of action, given that he gets conditional cards out of his hand. Can even play Mogu Flesh Shaper in this spot, but I think, again, Weaponized Wasp is conditional, so capitalize while you can. Rase is going to really need Shudderwalk to help him in this game because Zalae is about to start turning things the other direction. He has double Oasis Surger available to him. I do think that's pretty overkill given that he knows that quest is finished and Sandstorm Elemental can blow him out. I think he's also in the back of his mind worried about Barista Lynchin, so he definitely wants to play Oasis Surger here. Kill off the biggest threats. Blindness Floop comes out. Oh. He's going for value trades so that he can be resilient against the Sandstorm Elementals, but he's not resilient against 2 of them. In fact, is there a way for Rase to get the Mogu Flesh Shaper out onto the board as well?
Not quite.
Yeah,
because he'd Hero Power Sandstorm Elemental first. It'd be 5 mana on the board. It costs 2. He'd have 3 mana remaining.
Yeah.
So it's just Hero Power Double Sandstorm. I mean, that clears the board. You've dealt with an Oasis Surger and Floop with those cards.
Yes.
He has some type of value. He does go Overload into his next turn at 2, so he has 6 mana. So he's going to have one turn where he's kind of playing on the back foot, where he's just trying to refill his hand with Novice Engineer. But like this is about as good of a turn he could hope for, given Zalae's position in the game.
Swing the other direction. Zalae nodding, recognizing that something that he was afraid of, but he was accounting for this possibility. He held his Innervate for bigger plays, potentially. He does have Nourish number 2 available to him, and he does have the perfect hand size for it. So he can Nourish, has 6 mana remaining, and can go for Hidden Oasis or Oasis Surger again. Also has the opportunity just to go for pure tempo. Innervate, Hidden Oasis. Maximum stats, maximum pressure.
I think there was some merit in healing up one of these Oasis Surgers. But I understand getting the full value of the heal, considering that Shaman can like cheese wins with damage. But now this is a full turn where Rase is ceding essentially all tempo over to Zalae, and there's 16 damage on the other side of the board, and he's developing a 1/1 and a 2/3.
16 damage with Zephyrus can be able to add 9
right way.
with Bloodlust.
Yeah.
Or 8 with Savage-Door? That's less.
He's still got a ton of 1-ups left in his deck,
Oh
though.
boy! A Cenarius pickup here for Zalae. He does know about the threat of mind control tech. Oh, that's hard to evaluate because Zephyrus isn't active. That's one thing that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, he has Starfall, Swipe,
Yeah, there's a handful of
Crystal
duplicates.
Merchant and Worthy Expedition.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So there's 4 1-ups still left in the deck for Zalae. Still a ways off from at least the Enlightened and Zephyrus being active.
He's coming up on Shutterwalk turn as well, so something to be mindful of is whether or not his board's just going to disappear if the Shutterwalk comes out. He's going for it. Zalae adds the scenario's pressure, and that is a heck of a lot of damage coming out here. Rase is down to 8 life points, and with a mutate, that's not enough. He does not have mind control tech to swing this board. He has 2 Sandstorm Elementals in the pool, a Weaponized Wasp, Questing Explorer, Novice Engineer, Evil Cable Rat. There's a former champ as well. All tempo generating tools, not enough to react to this board.
All right, so Rase has to quickly determine whether or not he can deal with this board with just what he has, and I think the answer is no. And if that's the case, he needs to Bog Slosher the Novice Engineer and hope that his next card is exactly Mind Control Tech. He can Hero Power Bog Slosher. He would then need to Mind Control Tech steal both the Oasis Surgers to be able to trade both in.
Does not have enough mana anymore, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, no. With these draws, he's now down to a Mogu Flesh Shaper Evolve, but is that even enough to do anything?
No, it's absolutely not.
And the final moments of Race's career in Grandmasters is about to conclude. And with an Alec here taunting the way, that's nice. But nice doesn't cut it. And at the end of this best of 3 in the Shaman versus the Druid, Zalae has the game-ending damage. And he will be the one surviving the relegation and will be joining us in 2020 for the Grandmaster season.
A big match, you know. Rase took a risk there with the Shaman Q, had a lot of faith in it, and just couldn't find the pressure early on. Couldn't find the resource generation. And Zalae able to get the job done and keep his spot in Grandmasters, but you got to feel for Rase. That's a tough one. You could see kind of the emotion settling in for him at the end there. You know, deep breath, kind of realizing that he's got some decisions to make moving forward about, you know, his future in Hearthstone.
Yep. The good thing, at least for Rase, is that he's got a lot of cups that he still plays in for Brazil or even just Latin America. Part of what makes Race's claim to fame in Hearthstone Esports was his dominance in Copa America and whatnot going into 2018. For now, let's go ahead and join. We're joined by Zalae for an interview just to chat with him post-relegation match. Zalae, can you hear us?
Hey, guys. I hear you.
All right. Talk to me about what's going through your head. I think that there's a lot weighing on this match, obviously, for everybody, but none more than you and Rase.
Yeah, it's been a difficult week. You know, it doesn't feel good to relegate Rase. I know he really wanted to win, and it didn't seem like there was a ton he could do in some of those games. I want to give him credit for bringing that Aggro Warrior deck. In my preparation, I was very focused on beating him. And I was not expecting that, and it gave him an advantage. It made the matchup less likely for me to win. So, you know, it was kind of a difficult decision, I think, for him to make, bringing Aggro Warrior when other people had brought it and it hadn't worked out well for them. And so, you know, if you bring it and it doesn't work out, people are going to kind of laugh at you. But it definitely gave him an advantage against me, which is the key matchup of the week. So, you know, props to him for that.
Well said. Talk a little bit about your preparation. What was that? What did that involve going into a really intense matchup like this?
You know, I talked to my friends. I played some matches. I try and stay calm. Didn't do a good job of that. It was, you know, I was reading Twitter this morning. A lot of emotional stuff on there. So it's been a difficult week.
Apologies. Give you a moment. Zalae, you're going to be joining us for next season along with some of your friends. How much does it mean to have the support of your friends and your fans around the world that cheer so loudly for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's really great. I mean, the people being positive in chat, and just not just towards me, but towards anybody, that makes me feel better. And not just me, but my friends, my other Grandmasters, and the other people. You know, it's nice to see that positivity out there in the world. You know, I wish some of the people being negative would grow up a little bit, and all the people saying nice things to anybody me, Rase, whoever, all my friends, I appreciate that. That's great. That's it matters more than you'd think. And I definitely felt like I let myself and my fans down a bit this year. I was trying to be practical and budget my time wisely. And I think, season 3, I'm not going to do it that way again. I'm definitely I'm gonna work harder. I'm going to put on a better show. It might be my last season. I'm not sure either way, but I definitely don't like the way I handled these first 2 seasons of Grandmaster. I intend to do it differently in season 3. So I'm really glad I didn't get relegated for that purpose, so I can, work harder and go out better.
Thanks for joining us, Zalae. I think that was a really good note to end on. Congratulations on the victory, and we'll see you next season.
Thanks.
It's a tough day.
Yeah. Kind of getting the other end there of, obviously, it feels good to still have your spot in Grandmasters at the end of the day, but when you know that you winning this match directly affects somebody else's future in Hearthstone, in this case being Rase, it's tough. And Zalae, he came out and said in a lot of interviews throughout the year and he said it there, where he's trying to budget his time between streaming and competing in Grandmasters. And now he says he wants to do it differently going in, and this is that chance, right? And I think Zalae, in a way, there wants to do it for Rase too, saying in season 3, I'm going to prove that me winning this matchup is not just for me to be able to go into season 3 and not give it my all again. So really liked what Zalae had to say, and I'm happy to see him back next season.
Yeah, he better do well. I mean, it's one of the things that is really speaks to me when I competed in just esports, or even just like regular sports in high school, whatnot. In high school, it's best of 1 elimination a lot of times.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what ended up happening was whichever team that ended up beating the other would always feel like they would have to win for the team that they beat.
Yeah.
Especially when, you only have a couple of years in high school to compete. And again, that's an amateur level. I'm not even talking about professional level, but when you have this one chance, one shot, and you end up beating somebody, and you know that their dream was also to beat you and to continue to be the champion, in competition, there only could be one winner. And you have to inherit that. And I love the way Zalae was framing that, where he's saying, I'm going to change things. Going into next season, I'm going to be better because I have to be. And, in a way, I felt like I was taking away that he was inheriting the will of Rase to continue to fight on.
Yeah, and that's very cool to see, because Rase is a player that will be missed very dearly. Been following him for a long time, and, last year he made a big splash, and you mentioned the Copa Americas, getting that spot in Grandmasters, representing Latin America and representing Brazil, and that's a big hole in Grandmasters moving forward.
Yep, and hopefully we can see Rase maybe even just at the global games, right? Like,
end of the year.
I love the Brazilian fan base. I think a lot of people get really intimidated by how intense they can be, just across all games. I love passion. Passion speaks to me so much, and I think Rase is truly passionate about this game, just like Orange and Fino and the rest of them who are kind of suffering through this. So our hearts go out to them, and I think that's the last that we'll say for it. Good luck, Rase. Next match here is